We are off with another episode of Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Snyder, here with nobody. We got Zach over in Barcelona being a grande pain in the ass. So I wanted to do a solo episode. I was thinking about it. And then, you know what? I got a loyal listener, somebody that's very important to me in my life, who's given me a little bit of grief over the years. He's listened to every single episode we put out, and he wanted his chance to come on and do something. We've talked about him before, bringing him in from backstage. Let's go, Dallas Josh. What's up, buddy?
Howdy. You talked about it before. You've asked me to be on like 10 times and then never come through with it.
Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. Tuesdays, we do it live. Saturdays, we post it later. We are having so much fun. We have 200 and some episodes. I think Josh has listened to every single one.
Yeah, right from the start.
Very good, loyal, blue, and true. For everybody out there, maybe you're tuning in just now because you wanted to hear Josh's thoughts. Maybe you wanted to hear what we're talking about today. Make sure you go ahead and give us a good rating, give us a good review, and you know what's really important? If you ever have to take a self-defense class, go up to the instructor, kick him in the nuts, and tell him, I got a great podcast for you. It's called Booze Your Daddy. We want people to like us. We even want you to love us, but we love when you hate us. This is I'm not used to doing an episode where Zach doesn't constantly interrupt me. So if I just pause for effect, it's like, come on, Joshy, give me something, baby.
I think this is the first episode I think I've actually watched. It's quite a bit different watching the full Alan experience instead of just listening to it on my phone.
Got a great episode planned for tonight. But before we get into it, Josh, why don't you tell everybody what you are drinking?
I'm drinking Feisty Blonde. It is a honey vanilla blonde that says this ain't your mama's blonde. 8.27% alcohol, because I figure if I'm going to have to deal with Alan at 1 speed, there better be alcohol involved.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is when you ask me what I'm drinking.
What are you drinking, Alan?
Actually, nothing. That's okay. Well, before I get into my beer, I got to give a shout out to the Queen of Scream, who I got to hang out with this past weekend. And she was at the Cape and got me a Old Bay Bold Never Gets Old. I think it's for soup, which I can't say I'm the biggest soup guy. It's a little metal tin that I threw in the freezer. I thought, maybe like a frosted tin for my beer. This thing lost all coldness, maybe about 2 minutes after I took it out. But I thought I'd use it for one of my beers where I picked out something for Joshy. Something that is very special for me from the Hoboken Live Your Craft Brewery. I think it's just the Hoboken Brewery. 5.5% alcohol by volume. It is a pint. It says Bodie Blonde. I assume that's Bodie, what's his face? Bodie Miller? Is that a guy? He's a surfer?
Skier?
That guy too. Fresh ale with coconut. The real test here is going to be, will 16 ounces fit in this? Because that's what I'm really worried about. But I guess that's that. Joshy, release the Kraken.
How do you know it's not Bodie from The Wire?
I don't think Hoboken would do that. L'chaim.
You may not drink soup often, but you probably do put Old Bay on your soup if you're having it, right?
If I'm having vegetable soup, a.k.a. Maryland crab soup, wow, this whole thing's definitely going to fit. Wow, what a purchase, Lolo. Love it. And I guess I'll give a shout out to Big Mike too, but whatever. And I had room to spare. I thought this was going to be overflowing everywhere. So, all right, Josh, on the count of 3, let's say how long we've been friends. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 3 years.
13 years.
Oh, 13 years. Yes. Okay. I didn't know when we were actually starting that. And the reason I thought you would represent Hoboken for me is because that was one of the real first times we ever really hung out, where I was so nice that I threw your dodgeball team a bone and invited you to come to my house, and I had this barbecue. And I don't think you know this. Do you remember what you brought that night to the barbecue?
The dodgeball team who didn't like you and didn't want to go.
Okay. But you also were so kind that you brought a plate of cookies from somewhere. Maybe they were leftovers. Maybe they were from work. Does that sound familiar?
No.
Okay. Well, you did. And the plate that it was on was decent enough that it replaced one of my plates. And am I insane that I still have the plate that you brought your cookies on? That, like, I kind of like it. I think it's cool. And I don't know if I save it for you as much as I still have it. And I'm like, Josh, you brought me that plate with cookies on it the first time I ever really hung out with them. This is a 100% true story. I may go to jail for this if you ever found dead. I'm a suspect, right?
I don't remember ever seeing that plate before in my life.
Well, I got news for you. That everything I just said is the truth. Well, last week, talking to Zach, I mentioned something about growing up as a carny. And I don't know even if you know this, but growing up, my mom was quite the entrepreneur. And she still is, as far as when it comes to jobs and making money. She always is doing things to get ahead, to start businesses. And something she had was a little side hustle that she kept. I think she might even still do a little bit now. It's working tchotchkes. There was stink bombs, fart spray, whoopee cushions, magic ink. She had a big table. And where do you go to sell things like this other than the actual flea market, but the local carnival? So most times in the summer, my mother was working her little stand at a carnival where we didn't have a babysitter. So I would go, and a lot of times I'd bring a friend, and help will kill you. The people they had working these carnivals were all minimum wage young people. So half the time, my mom would just make friends with them and say, hey, I'll just give you some free stuff if my son can ride all the rides for free. And they're like, yeah, I don't care. Whatever you want to do. So I say I grew up as a carny. I spent a ton of weekends at carnivals growing up.
I'm thinking of you as more Joe Dirt than anything else.
Oh, she's my sister. Look, is that an actual carnival? And we can define what this, because Zach always thinks it's more like the bearded lady and the magical mirrors and whatnot. And you had no idea what to talk about. You're like, a fair? I've never been to a fair.
I was like, we went to amusement parks. You're like me. You grew up in D.C. We were 25 minutes from Six Flags and not too far from King's Dominion. We always went to those if we wanted to go on rides and play games.
Well, I thought we would go ahead and do something fun, because these rankings episodes I do find to be really fun. What's going to be even better is Zach is going to listen to this episode, maybe on his flight home, and he's going to be seething the whole time. He's going to be annoyed at what we pick, and Lord knows he's going to come back. And I don't know if I get through the intro before he goes, you're ready for the real top 10, folks, because this is what we're going to be doing today. And the fact that I can just go ahead and piss him off is going to make me so happy. I don't have to explain the rules to you, but let's do it the fun way. Josh, explain the rules to our audience. How are we doing our rankings today?
10 down to 1, saving Duke for last, as you like to say.
I know. Although I always thought maybe Duke's not the good team anymore, but I think they have a guy this year, that Cooper, what's his face, who's supposed to be the first pick no matter what happens. So we got
Cooper Flag, I think.
I don't know if there's an L in there, but yeah, something like that.
He's the Don Simon of the American college basketball.
Meanwhile, Don Simon's at the Mets-Orioles game right now, and the Mets are getting spanked. Every time Simon goes to Orioles-Mets, they get crushed. We went, 3 years ago, and he's like, I want to sit in good seats. And we spent, I don't know, $80, but we were pretty close to the field. I think the Mets had 2 hits that day. It was great. It was absolutely great. So the way we usually start this off, and I made a list that I did torture myself over. There are some honorable mentions. Josh, go ahead and give me things that didn't quite make your list, but you said, you know what? I want to talk about this. It's not going to make my top 10.
Spinning teacups.
Okay.
The fun house.
Okay.
The like strength thing where you take the mallet and you smash it and see how high you can make the thing go. This may not shock you. I was not the strongest person growing up.
Stop it.
But was always enjoyable is the people I was with confidently talking about how they were going to get like 75, 90, and then they would only get like 40. Of course, they could beat me, but like those things, you had to actually have a lot of oomph to get to the top, and 13-year-olds were not exactly crushing it.
Wow. So I guess, you know what? That's a really good one, but not for the reason of I love doing the thing, but more that you can watch all your friends that think they have the biggest cocks out there just fail epically, right?
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
And my last honorable mention is any of the games. It was usually like throw a ping pong ball where you win the goldfish, which like as a kid seems like the most fun in the world, but honestly, how many goldfish get killed unnecessarily because of it? It's got to be like a genocide on goldfish, these events.
Oh yeah, we didn't do great with those. I don't know if I said officially the name of this episode, so I can always edit this when we do the playback, which you will get a good how the sausage is actually made when you listen to this, because I have to go through and edit out all of Zach's ums. If you ever want to really know how he talks, he hits every punchline with an which I edit out because it just annoys the piss out of me. Episode 243, calling this one Dallas Josh.
Dallas, where everyone should move.
Very good. So those are your honorable mentions.
Yes.
Awesome. My honorable mentions, and talking to you about this, it was hard to differentiate because there's a lot of carnival rides, amusement park rides, and my one stipulation for you was we can't do like the good roller coasters because that's number one. That's number one. It wins everything. It's going to be all of the NFL players playing flag football in 4 years. It's why even play? It doesn't matter. So I wanted to go ahead and just say some honorable ones as well, where like water rides, because most of the time when you go to the fair and the carnival, they don't really have the log flume. They don't really have I don't even know the name, like the Splash Mountain ride or the big raft in Step by Step when they go down and they soak the parents. I don't know the name of that, but that's a pretty awesome ride.
I didn't even know for sure. Do they have water? Like water rides feel like a lot of effort to set up at a carnival, as opposed to like an amusement park where it's probably been the same water for 6 years and you don't want to take a trip into that.
They do, and it's one of them is on my list, but it's not exactly what you're thinking. Like you said, you're not drinking or getting hit by any of that water. So I did want to put that in there. And then, like, I don't know, like carnivals are hard just because it really is. It's more for parents of little kids or when you are a little kid, because in no way are you really ever going there. Like if you and I went to a carnival right now, we'd be bored out of our minds. I don't think we'd really enjoy it the way that we're supposed to.
Oh, 100%. Also, because like as I've gotten older, rides that purely make my stomach churn have become a little bit less exciting than when I was a kid. Like I still enjoy a good roller coaster, but the stomach ones, there's like this kids amusement park in Lancaster. I'm Pennsylvania. I'm forgetting the name. We went with my nephews, and there's one ride that you don't even move. You're just like sitting on like it could be a bench in like church or synagogue, two benches facing each other, and the thing rotates around you. And my God, did I feel like sick doing that? Well, it's like you close your eyes and you're instantly fine because you're not even moving.
Okay, well, we're going 10-1, Joshy. Go ahead and kick it off. Give me your number 10 ranked carnival thing.
Number 10 is the Ferris wheel. And the reason it's this low is I think there's a similar sort of better ride later I have on my list. And also, it's always got such a long line for not that exciting a payoff.
So you're putting it in your top 10 versus...
Yeah, it's number 10, though.
Now, do you put it on there because the Ferris wheel has a connotation of you go up there with somebody and maybe a smoochy smooch, or is it just like an easy ride where you're going to die?
No, I was able to have girlfriends without needing Ferris wheels, so I do rely on it for that.
Yeah, made my list when I originally went through it, but not my top 10. My number 10 ranked thing, which has it's ended up still at like birthday parties. I call it the bounce house, where they inflate the thing and kids can go in and jump around. I don't really know if they have that at carnivals, where they definitely have it at little kids' birthday parties. For me, and I say this all the time, you know what I like in this world. I love football. I love Baltimore. I love Old Bay. I love my son. All of those put together do not even come close to what I thought about the WWF when I was growing up, and WWF, WWE now. And when I was little, my parents took me to a carnival. Maybe I was 3 or 4, probably 5. And they got the pass for everything. And I went to the bounce house for 3 hours and jumped around and did every DDP that I could till the point my dad had to go in, carry me out, screaming and crying like he had just sexually assaulted me.
Wait, is DDP a move? I thought it was a wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page. What does it mean to do every DDP you could?
Jake the Snake did the DDP. That's where you put the person like in a reverse bulldog choke, and you kind of
Isn't
slap
that
them.
DDT?
Ooh, DDT. Let's do that one. That's what I meant. Okay, we'll take a timeout. It's the DDT. I get some things wrong, but the bounce house I thought was fun, and the fact that little kids now do that at the baby gyms. I've been to some birthday parties. I want to throw it in there. Joshy, number 9.
Number 9, just deep fried whatever. Oreos, Twinkies, like You go to the fair and you're basically like, what is food I will not eat in any other circumstance other than right here at this place or an amusement park? And that's what's the greatest. And so, I mean, I think the Texas State Fair has deep fried butter. That feels a little extreme, but deep fried Oreos, deep fried Twinkies, those all are great.
My number 5, I really appreciate that you made that one big thing because we easily could have just had, each one banging down. My number 5 was funnel cake, which exact same reason. You're only ever getting that at the fair, at the carnival. Hoboken. There was a restaurant, I think it's out of business, that I went to one time with Stevie and his ex that had funnel cake on the menu. So it's always like when you have at the carnival, it's the worst ingredients they can possibly have. It's it's fried dough in oil that's been in there for years. Anytime you go to a nice restaurant and they use good ingredients to make the same type of food, it's mind-blowing. And this restaurant had fresh funnel cake that was out of this world. So good. The same way I say that, Julie and I went to, there's a couple of them in the city, Calexico. They make something called the Gringo Taco. It's a Taco Bell taco, but they make it with good, fresh ingredients. It'll change your life. It's so good.
I'll have to try it next time I'm up there. So I had funnel cake as number 3. I separated from deep fried whatever because what I was going with the number 9 was the food you eat outside the fair normally, and then they've just deep fried it. But funnel cake I felt was its own thing because it's not like there's a non-deep fried version you eat normally. So deep fried whatever is 9. Funnel cake is my bronze medal.
Fair enough. It's the same thing where like Zeppelis and beignets, it's all in the same sphere. Funnel cake is fantastic. Funnel cakes for me are like, I will not eat a funnel cake. And people are like, you don't like this? I go, it's just so bad for me. It is so, I eat so much terrible stuff all the time. Like it's one I can stay off of. I respect it. It's a solid, it made mine 5. So you sunk my submarine and then I resunk yours, I guess. So we're going down swinging. That was your number 9. My number 9 is the balloon race, which I guess we could still put in that. Like Zach last week made a point to talk about, like where you roll the balls and the horses move. The balloon race, it's something you only see at the boardwalk or the carnival. Like it's nowhere else.
What is the balloon race?
That's where you have the water pistol and you shoot it, and there's there's a balloon and the first one to pop goes off.
Yes.
Now, I need to tell you how the sausage is made, Joshy. You know it's fixed, right?
I assumed it wouldn't be fixed because I assume any of the ones where you're competing against other people are fair. I assume the only games that are fixed is where it's like pay $5, win a prize. Obviously, they don't want to give you prizes. But if the water gun one you're playing other people, I would have actually thought that was fair. And you're telling me it's not?
I only know that they can control it because there was a time I went and my mother was quite good at going around the park, making friends, flirting with men that had maybe 4 teeth in their mouth, and she would get what she needed. I got what I needed. Everybody was happy. She wasn't infidelity or anything like that, but she goes over to this guy who was running the balloon race, and he's like, here, he can come play. And his way of showing off was I push the thing down, he pushes a button, and my water just gets shut off. And everybody around me, their balloons are going and going and going. And I look at him, he's cackling at my mother. They think it's so funny. I was almost in tears. This is a true story. Next thing you know, he steps on the thing again, and I'm going double time. I win the whole thing. I beat everybody there. I was like, I think they can control the pressure or different things. Now, do they for all of them? I don't know, but I do think they have the option.
Maybe the Gaming Commission needs to regulate carnivals instead of casinos.
I don't think you're wrong. Josh, number 8.
So number 8, I have roller coasters because they can't be any higher. Because the thing is, the high ones, what would be number 1 would be if it was a proper amusement park and the real coasters for adults. But there's still something fun about the little ones. They still get a little speed. They have a little drop. It's not good enough to beat some of the rides that don't get improved when you go to amusement parks or whatever, but it certainly can't be much higher since there's better versions around.
I actually wanted my number 8 also, our Menzies, Josh, is a roller coaster, but it's a very specific carnival roller coaster. Do you remember being in Munich, Germany, 2014, smashed, And we went on some tiny roller coaster that it wasn't a big one, but I remember it moved very fast.
I have no memory of this, but as you say, we've been drinking. In Munich, we did this?
We in by the Oompa Loompa tents. Don't you remember we like met some random guy who started following us around, and then we get to the roller coaster and we pay for the four of us, and he looks at us like, I'm not paying for you. And then I just remember going on with Timmy, and we were screaming the Eagles fight song, just bombed out of our mind on a roller coaster.
That is ringing some bells, but I have no idea how many leaders I was deep that time. And you remember I could barely walk, so that was not helping.
That was a good time. That was my number 8. So moving on, 7.
7 for me was always the basketball game because I'm not that great at basketball. You might call me downright awful. And the thing is, it's not about being good at basketball to win at these, because it's to the point of the balloon game. These are rigged. So I do just as well as anyone else, because it's not like, oh, Michael Jordan's crushing this. And so my friends who were far better than me at basketball would always get annoyed because I won just about as often as they did. And so I have fond memories of that.
Yeah, well, as Tanta Marlene says on the chat, Andrew wins all the time. And
you're going to have to take him to a carnival to win stuff for Milo then.
Yeah, no. My number 7, also tying into a little fun story, is the fun slide. And this is the one where there was usually like a drop, and maybe a third one where they would give you a potato sack. Did you remember this? Where you'd sit on a potato sack and you'd go down. You definitely got a little bit of rug burn on something going down the slide. But this was another one of the rides at our local Owings Mills Firehouse that I used to go to. I remember this guy like it was yesterday. Big fat guy. I would go up to the top and he would hand me the potato sack with a handful of tickets for me to ride other rides. And then at the end of the night, he came over to the stand and my mother did sell very fake, non-sexual whips. And I remember this guy walking around the carnival after it was over, just cracking the whip over and over again. Meanwhile, he gave me hundreds of tickets for other rides the whole night. That may have affected the jury as far as my vote for this, but statute of limitations, nobody's going to jail.
I'm trying to think if I went slides. All I can think is like the big inflatable slides. Like when I was in high school, we used to have to work at there was this thing in the DC area called the Fun Company or Funko, and they put on like company picnics. So they're not proper carnivals, but the Funko people would show up. They would like start setting up inflatable slides, inflatable climbing things, a bunch of that. And then high schoolers had to work that. So I can picture like those big slides, but I don't remember like going on regular slides at carnivals, but might just not.
Yeah, specifically the potato sack thing I enjoyed. Number 6.
For me, it's the Scrambler. So I did not lump all of our various, spinning rides together that churn your stomach, because like I thought each of them are unique. Some people like more. So for me, Scrambler is number 6, which I did also have to go and Google and find out the official names of each of the rides, because I was just like, well, you've got the one that spins that way, the one that spins that way, and I'm just typing in to try and figure out what's what. But number 6 is the Scrambler for me.
I did Google every single ride, and I was 100% correct with my initial what they were called, except for my Duke. Except for my number 1, where I was going to describe it. It turns out it has a name, and we'll get to it. Scrambler did make my list. It didn't make my number 6. Now, remember we were talking about water actually being at little carnivals? My number 6 is something that I don't remember doing as a little kid, but there are pictures, and it's something that I've done with my niece and my older nephew, and I cannot wait to do it with Milo, but it's the little kid boat rides. And I'm not talking about where you actually go out. I'm talking where you climb in, the kid sits in it. It's a circle. I mean, they just go around. In theory, they're in water, but they're all very immobile, and they can ring the bell as it's going by. Technically, they're in water. They're turning the steering wheel, which does absolutely nothing. This is the ultimate, more fun for the parents. But if you've ever seen a little kid go on one of these things, dude, like, it's the best. Like, I'm getting a little foot climb.
This is another one I cannot even picture what it is.
I'll send you a picture. I could even post it, but it's something that every little kid has done, and it's so cute because this is when kids are starting to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm driving this boat. It's like, no, you're buddy, no, you're not. But there's a little bell that they ring, and the water definitely has algae for days. All in it. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. But you don't get wet, but it's a water ride.
Fair enough.
Number 5.
So this is my last game, and like you, I'm a very competitive person. So the last game I went with is a game I'm actually good at, and that is whack-a-mole.
That's more of like that's like a Chuck E. Cheese thing, but I guess they have that at carnivals.
I checked, and it was listed as, a game that you can find at carnivals and fairs. Master the hitting them with one mallet, the mallet in the right hand, while smashing them with the left hand.
Cheater! Cheater!
Says the person who literally got their mom to make their balloon pop. This is the.
I think she was making that. I think she was making that guy's balloon pop. Is what actually was happening.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 was funnel cake, which we've already knocked out a little bit. Keep it going to number 4.
So my number 4 is swing rides. And so if you remember, I said Ferris wheel number 10, there'll be something better. Ferris wheel is basically, I'm high up, and now I can see like a bunch of things around. Well, the swing rides also take you high up, but you actually get to like move and do something fun. So to me, like swing rides are just strictly better than Ferris wheel. So even though the Ferris wheel is iconic, it only came in at 10, and I put swing rides all the way up at 4.
Yeah, swing rides for me had a little bit of I could die right now, even though
100%.
But you're not dying on the swing, just so you know. But you felt like you could because your feet are suspended.
A few years ago, we went to Six Flags over Texas. Where Six Flags is originally from. You know what Six Flags is named for, right?
The Mexicans that they killed?
No, it is the six flags that have ruled Texas. This can be your trivia question. Can you name the six places that have been in charge of Texas at any point in time?
Mexico.
1.
America.
2.
Ooh, that's 2. I at this point I'm just literally guessing. France, Spain.
Yes and yes.
Oh wow. England.
No.
I'm out. Go ahead.
I'll give you a hint. I'm going to commend your number 2 to the United States of America.
The North and the South.
Yeah. And then the last one is the Independent Republic, which will rise again.
Okay.
That's where Six Flags started. But so we did the wave, the swing ride. And I'm like, wow, we are at like the same height as the top of roller coasters. If I were to just lift this little metal bar up, I 100% could, fall out or whatever. I mean, you're like tilted. You're tilted back,
but you can't lift it up. It has a little thing. It has a little button there that you can't physically do because you're a little kid and you can't figure that out.
Yeah, but as an adult, you can.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100% dead. Yeah, absolutely. All right, that was your number 4. My number 4. It's funny you said how you didn't want to group things together, and usually I would have let you sink my submarine, but for me, my numbers 4 was Tilt-A-Whirl / the teacups. And I say this is very high for me because this for me is a one where adults and kids can really enjoy it just the same. Because I've definitely gone on with little kids, I've gone with adults, and you can watch somebody being like, oh, this isn't so bad. And when that thing turns a little bit, and then there's that like, you see people's face go like, oh, that is a lot more than I thought. And when my niece was, I don't know, 6, maybe 7, this is when she was like too cool for the, like Tanta Marlene talked about the fire engines. She was too cool for the ding, ding, ding. She was like, I want to go on big kid rides. And she went on the teacups with me, and I'm spinning that thing. And she had a look on her face that she was smiling, and it's so much fun, but she was terrified. She was like,
It's interesting. So I guess I thought the teacups and the Tilt-A-Whirl were different enough because the Tilt-A-Whirl, there's also a little bit up and stuff that I still have the Tilt-A-Whirl waiting as my number 2.
Oh,
even though I only had teacups as honorable mention. So
I guess it's just that, like, I had Scrambler separate. And Scrambler I always hated because if I was on the inside, I was crushing somebody. And on the outside, you're getting crushed. So it always had like a, am I fat? Like, am I hurting this person? I don't know. I was a little in my own head for that. But okay, do you want to wait or do you want to cover it now? Tilt-A-Whirl.
I mean, it was one of the most fun. You spin, you get sick, you have some control over it. It wasn't my single favorite ride, which is why it's only my silver medal, but like it's all there. And it's something that if I do now, I would be curious how miserable it would make me. But as a kid, it was fantastic.
But again, it's one of those rides that at all ages you're having fun because look, the little kid roller coaster, it sucks. And some of these other rides just suck either way. Tilt-A-Whirl, it's good for all ages. There's adults that love it. There's it bridges gaps. It's what we do here at BYD.
Because if you don't spin the individual thing, it's kind of easy. You can enjoy it. So like you can make it like really stomach churning, or you can do the relax because I'm struggling.
Choose your own adventure. I like it. Yeah, I like it. So that was my number 4. And then you haven't done your number 3, right? Or no, that was Funnel Cakes.
Funnel Cake, and then Tilt-A-Whirl's my number 2. So all I have left is my gold.
All right, so let's hold off. My number 3 is another bridge the gap. Because when you're little, you can go with the parent. And then when you get older, all little kids want to do is drive. And you know what they like doing? Crashing. So when they put you in a bumper car and you can just drive, and my father is the ultimate, like he will get all his weight in and try to give the person whiplash. It doesn't matter how old, how young. Glasses have gone flying. Bumper cars is so much fun at all ages.
So I left bumper cars out because I agree the platonic ideal of bumper cars is amazing. But inevitably, like 20% of them are broken. Not broken like out of service, but like
just off to
you
the
get
side.
you're stuck. And then there's also, even if yours is working, there's like the two morons who collide face on in front of you, and then neither moves, so you're just stuck in them. So like a good bumper car ride is amazing. But how many times do you do bumper cars and you're just like, I just waited an hour to be stuck in the corner for 3 minutes and do nothing? So that's my thing is like, if you guaranteed me it would work perfectly, it would probably be in my top 3. But a lot of times you wait so long because I think bumper cars, Ferris wheels, and the roller coaster are probably the 3 iconic rides. So they have the longest lines. And then if it doesn't work, it's just so much time wasted.
More iconic than a carousel?
No, that's fair. Carousel.
That's fair. Waka waka.
That's not my gold. I forgot about it. I mean, I was considering it, but I think carousels are one of those things where like they stop being fun once you get beyond a certain age. Like if you have a kid, I'm sure watching Milo on it will be great and whatnot, but like there's zero fun to be had for the parent on it other than watching their kid enjoy it.
Have you ever seen the brass ring? Because I've seen that once. I've only heard about it. I've only ever been there once where every time you go by, you grab a ring, and then eventually you grab a brass one, you get a free ride.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until I saw it recently. So bumper cars for me was my number 3. My number 2 is the one I brought up last week. Zach hates it. The Gravitron, and I did nail the name of it last week. It's so much fun. The spaceship where back in the day, there would be like a DJ in the middle. They'd be playing music. They'd be talking. They'd be doing the whole thing. You are sticking to the wall with centrifugal force, not the same as centripetal force. Do you know the difference? I know you're smart-ish.
I mean, I know there are 2 forces.
There you go. One's blowing in, one's blowing out. That's what she said. And I just remember like going upside down, people being stuck to the wall, my neck being strained just from trying to lift up.
Sorry, this is the one you get stuck to the wall on?
Yeah, the Gravitron, where you're in a spaceship and you can't see the people inside of it, but you're the one.
So I've been on that at King's Dominion and Six Flags, and I definitely thought that was like an amusement park only ride. I thought it was too high tech and thought it was ineligible for this. This would have been very high on my list.
They have that in New Jersey at the pier I was at a month ago. They have one here, like on the boardwalk. So it's not an amusement park one.
All right. Well, I'd have to think about it, but that would definitely pass Funnel Cake.
You can't change your list. Do you not know this?
I'm just saying, 243 episodes.
You can't change your mind.
I'm just saying that would have been high. That would have been high if I had realized it.
All right. That was my number 2. Your Duke, your gold medal. Go ahead, Joshua.
It's Wipeout.
Wipeout? That is
That's the spinny one in the car. You're sitting like in a roller coaster type thing, and it's spinning like this, but then the whole thing is also spinning like this. So you get 2 axes. So you kind of go like this, and it's almost like being on a top, like a little top that you would spin.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Google like Wipeout Ride.
Yeah, I got it. I know the show and I know the meanwhile, oh God, I don't remember this song, but we were driving this past weekend and some song came on that had an amazing drum intro. And I turned to Julia, I'm like, oh my God, how great is this song? She goes, is this Wipeout? I'm like, what? And we listen to like 90s at 9 on Sirius.
Isn't Wipeout a song from like the 60s with no words?
Yes, and that's not what it
Okay.
was. Which is like, is this
Well,
Wipeout?
she does think everything before the 90s is disco, so you know.
Yeah. Oh, this is your number one?
Because once it gets going full speed, it's just drop, drop, drop. It's like rides drop immediately. Your stomach has
So
no
you're just-
time to recover. And like that is the ride I feel I've seen that most people get sick on because you can't stop, you can't slow down, and it is just going and it is just drop. There's nothing they can do. Like a lot of the rides, like the Tilt-A-Whirl, the Scrambler, like they can figure out how to make you do better if they see you're about to puke. This they can't because it's one thing. And so if they stop it for you, they're stopping it for everyone. So it's just drop, drop, drop. I have had friends throw up on it. I've had friends throw up on it, and then like other people, if they throw up on the way up, then other people go through the vomit. Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh my God. Problem Child 2, no better scene. They're just puking everywhere. Oh shit.
So no, this is
I've never seen this. I've never seen it. It looks fantastic.
Now, I don't remember mine. The image I found online while confirming the names numbers every seat like it's a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
I did not remember that, but maybe that was the gambler in me at an early age being like, this is what I want to do.
All right. Well, mine is, I guess, kind of similar because it has the same thing there, but my number one is called the Music Express, and that's the one where it essentially looks like your Wipeout. You sit in it, and it's a ride where it's a circle, and it just kind of goes up and down, and it starts inside, and it goes up and down for like a minute or two, and then it goes backwards, and that was always so cool. And I had fond memories of this growing up because my town wasn't so affluent, but they were okay. And I'd be at one carnival on a weekend, and they would then start pumping this, like, not smoke, but like scented, I guess it is smoke that we're going through, and the music is blasting. And then the next week we'd be in another town, and I turned to the guy, I was like, are you doing the smoke today? And they just look at me like, dude, they didn't pay for it here. Like, you're not getting the smoke when you go through this.
Yeah.
Did you look it up? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I Googled it. Like, it looks like a million other rides, but like, I also almost didn't realize it's like its own ride. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, that could kind of be this or that or whatever. But
it falls in a category.
All these rides are like small variations on each other. So,
right. And my number one memory, I guess this happened last year when we went to Hershey Park. I took my nephews, we took Julia, her brother, the three kids there, and we had a great day at Hershey Park. And then it started raining, and then it started really raining, and we were running around, and finally we get on this ride, and when the drizzle went to like torrential downpour to the point that the guy is loading people on, and I'm now sitting in this ride soaking wet, and I just think to myself, oh my God, this is going to be so annoying that we now have to get off the ride without having, and then I'm thinking to myself, it starts moving, I go, there's no way they're running this ride. Josh, it was raining like 10 out of 10 hard where you don't even run or walk quickly because you're like, I'm soaking wet. It doesn't matter. They started this ride and there were torrential downpours. I was like,
why would they stop rides in pouring rain? I have memories of doing tons of rides in pouring rain.
Pouring like hurricane 10 out of 10 rain? No way. That's how bad things happen.
No, lightning would be bad things happening. They shut it all down for lightning. The Hershey Park, where I think that's where they did the introduction to Step by Step, if you remember.
This was mentioned earlier in this episode. You can listen to me at 2 times speed. You can't follow it 1 time.
You mentioned Hershey Park and Step by Step.
I mentioned Step by Step with the water raft because I didn't know the name of it. I called it the Splash Mountain Step by Step ride.
Oh, I don't think I picked up that you were talking about the show back then. I don't know why. I'm just saying that went.
Was that filmed at Hershey Park though?
I think the introduction, because it ends with them on like I think it was the Comet back then going over, or this might just be a rumor that someone said at one point, and now I've been parroting for years. But I'm sure Wikipedia could tell us if we really wanted to check.
Yeah, Tanta Marlene, I know what the log flume is. That's an actual log. We're talking about the raft. Talking about the raft here. I know that you went on the log flume. I get it.
Log flume. long film's always, I think, the most overrated because, like, you feel like you're gonna get super soaked, but then you go down the thing and the water shoots mostly sideways. You killed all the people who are watching it, but like, you
No.
don't get that wet.
Yes, you do. The bad person in the back gets annihilated.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we made it through our top 10. I'm shocked we've made it this far. Ron Katz went ahead and pointed out the, hey, Snyder, nice jersey. Josh, I wore this for you. I wore my only Rangers jersey just for you. I haven't burned it, and I need a reason to wear it.
I literally said earlier, Mr. O, making fun of me for not hearing them at one time speed. I said, nice jersey. Should I get a matching one?
I was busy talking about something else. Well, Josh, you know what we haven't done here in a while on BYD? We haven't done any trivia. And for somebody who thinks they are the smartest person in the world, I am here. I have 5 questions here for you today about trivia. The topic...
I assumed you were going to do trivia, and I assumed you were going to try and pick like one question on the Rangers, one on Goldman Sachs, one on, Dallas, all these things, and then you make them impossible because nothing would make you happier than if I go 0 out of 5.
There's no way you will. Like, I do want you to know that when we do trivia here, it has to be gettable stuff. I'm not out there just to make you look like a complete ass. If you do that on your own, that's on you. But today, I am testing your knowledge on famous Joshes.
There's only one.
Well, there can only be one Highlander? Okay. Question number 1. This 43-year-old Josh was made famous for his role as Elder Arnold Cunningham.
It's Book of Mormon. Josh Gad.
Josh Gad is correct. I was going to call him Olaf if that helped you too, because that's what my niece called him growing up. Not Olaf, it was Olaf. But there you go. You got it. Question the second. This 37-year-old Josh got his start on Nickelodeon's Amanda Show. Let me know if you need a hint.
Definitely need a hint.
He then went on to a show with Drake Bell, I think the guy's name is, who was very diddled, apparently. There's a 4-episode series about that.
I feel like there's a show, The Adventures of like Drake and Josh or something, but I have no idea his last name.
Ooh, Josh Peck, who was super chubby and then lost a bunch of weight, and he was in Oppenheimer. I think he might be the guy who pushed the button. There you go.
I saw Oppenheimer.
Oh, it was terrible.
Saw it at 5:30 a.m. in order to see it in one of the, there was only like the 15 theaters in the country showing it properly.
Josh, have I told you today how cool you are? Have I at all today said you are the coolest person ever?
You don't need to, because every day you've told me I'm your role model, someone you look up to, someone you want to be like in life that, if you didn't say it today, that's okay.
Delusional. And question number 3. This 44-year-old Josh won the 2003 World Series MVP.
Oh, this one I should know. So it's Florida. It's the pitcher, Josh, not Burnett. It's the pitcher.
That was AJ Burnett.
Yeah, it's the...
We can come back to this if you want to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4. This 31-year-old Josh had his breakthrough role as Peter Mellock.
Josh Hutcherson.
Very nice. From the Hunger Games, for those who didn't know. I couldn't have given you his last name. You could have given me 6 of the letters. I had no idea. And this 46-year-old Josh starred in movies such as The Virgin Suicides, 40 Days and 40 Nights, and Black Hawk Down.
Josh Hartnett.
Otherwise known as the man Julia would leave me for tomorrow.
I just saw his new movie Trap. It was pretty bad.
His cameo in The Bear was decent enough. I enjoyed it.
I'm surprised none of these were Joshua Jackson.
When I looked up Josh's, he was number 1. I thought that'd be too easy. I was like, I guess.
All right. Who is the pitcher? Josh. Does it start with a B?
It does.
Josh.
Dead air.
Barnett. I don't know.
Do you see the chat? Little bit of help from your friends.
Beckett. Josh Beckett.
I
had Barnett. I don't know why. That's, the B
still, it's
in the net.
AJ Burnett. Still got the wrong guy.
I knew it wasn't Burnett, but I could not come up with it. There we go, Beckett.
Very good.
The I don't think I've ever seen the show or knew really anything about that Nickelodeon guy, so there was no chance I was ever going to get that one.
Until Julia had no clue. But you'll see his face and be like, oh, yeah, I've seen him in a thing. So you also didn't get Josh Beckett. So 3 for 5, 60%. Now at Harvard, is that passing 60%? Because at Maryland, it's not.
I don't know. I didn't get grades that low.
Josh, I am giving you, this is your time. Take it away. Anything you want to say. It was great having you. You're up.
I just can't believe it took you 243 episodes. You know, I feel a little hurt, to be honest, that it took this long after all the invitations.
Boozer Daddy, the podcast. Thanks for listening to tonight's episode. We had fun. Joshy, thanks for being on. I hope you had a good time. You'll listen back to this. Maybe you'll giggle. Maybe you'll tell your grandkids about it one day. Zach will be back next week. Anything you want to say to him?
At least you have to put up with Ellen an hour a week or whatever at one-time speed. I don't know that I could do it.
Terrible. We out.
Zach's a mensch.